What is your yin and yang?
Well, I always wear white. He always wears black.
Yeah.
Really?
Honestly, it happens more days than it doesn't.
I always wear black,
We've
too.
taken like PI tests, personality tests, and we are very drastically different from one another. You know, if we looked at it in what would be considered like maybe the business sense, I'm more the visionary, he's more the integrator, a lot more analytical, a lot more careful with his decisions, a lot more sit back and let me review things. I'm more of the let's just go. I push a lot. You know, I'm out creating new relationships a lot, and he's more careful, analytical. Okay, you put this together. Let me make sure we do it right. Let me make sure that we make it happen correctly, because me, you know, I'm not going to read a document. I'm just going to sign it and send it. Like,
And you're the guy that makes
Hey,
sure
I
you
met
read
this guy that, you know, wants to fund some of our deals. He said he's got 600,000. Awesome. Boom. Let me get his info. Let me send him proposals. Let me send him wiring instructions. Now we're using the funds. How are we going to use the funds? Where are they going to go? How are we going to account for it? Now let's put it in play.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys are yin and yang.
Yeah, I think that, you know, in the past we still do it, and I think it's just something that we're trying to work on it all the time, where we don't want to both be doing the same thing all the time, because I don't think there's a good use of either of our times if we're both doing the same thing all the time. So we're trying to get away from that, but we like doing a lot of the same things as well. You know, designing the houses, dealing with the construction man. It's like we don't need two people to go do that, but we both want to do that. So we're always trying to battle with what is most important, what's the best use of our time, how do we split, divide, and conquer tasks when we both want to be doing that task, you know, in a sense. So I think that's the hardest part of it all.
I totally agree.
We start new things too, like new endeavors or a new business, and it's new to both of us. So it's important that we both understand it.
Sure.
We both learn it, but then it kind of leans one way or the other.
Right.
We start to naturally see the chips fall and where the responsibilities find each other.
You guys ever had that really hard conversation
Which one?
just about
Like a
business
fuckload,
together?
a ton of them.
The one? Is there
The one,
one?
there's always one where it's just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
Oh, we've had a couple of those for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to go there next. It's kind of funny
Yeah.
you say that. Danny and I think we purge every 90 days.
That's
where we
probably a
sit
good thing
down
to
and
do.
we just, not even intentionally. I think we just,
There's a moment.
yeah.
It just happened.
And it's been super healthy for the relationship to be able to go, okay, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What's working? What's not? And it's not scheduled, but like just being in a partnership isn't easy.
No,
And you've already gone through a bad partnership. So what was different? What's the difference of the two partnerships?
Well,
what
I
did
think-
you learn? What did you do differently?
for me, I'm aware of who he is.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm a prideful dude. I'm an alpha dude, but I also have the ability to go back and let someone else take over. If Josh isn't around, I do the same shit Josh does. I move furniture for the family. I get all the shit going. But when he's there, he's so aggressive with it. I'm like, cool, I'm your support.
Let him do it. Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they work with people like this, the red personality is they take offense to the things they do and how they lead. And you just have to understand that they're just trying to complete their goal. And they'll mush you, smash you into the wall. They'll mash everyone on the wall to get the goal done. The good thing about Josh is he always comes back and he picks up the piece and says, hey, you know, we got there, but how are we all doing? He's very aware. So for me, I can get yelled at. I can get scolded. And if I realize I was fucking up, I can be like, you know, he's right. If I'm not, I'll vocalize myself. And he's the first to be like, oh, you're right.
Yep.
Sure.
So it's just, you have to understand who's the aggressor, who's the motor, and that's Josh. And I don't mind being the wheels to his motor or the windows. That's fine for me. And it just takes someone like that to actually realize it. And I see partnerships around our office that have failed, and it's usually because the communication and the ability to not feel each other out or let someone lead, it kind of leads to that. And that's, for me, I just very aware that it's his system. He's the motor. Let me just complement where I can.
What I don't understand with partnerships, because I'm listening to Danny say all that, and he's saying, I'm okay being this. That's on the surface, but Danny's very proud and proud to be this. And that's where I think people fuck up in partnerships, is instead of them looking at like, and understanding it, to your point, that is his role. That's what he's good at. That's what makes this thing work. Instead of just looking at him and going, that guy gets all the credit, they're also going, without me, this thing doesn't work, and I'm proud of my space and my contribution to this thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people can't do that. They instead diminish if they're not number one, then they're like number 20. So that was a big issue with Casey. Is Casey couldn't, and we have to give ourselves both a pass here that we were both very new in business.
Sure.
He was extremely new.
Yeah.
I was relatively new. He couldn't understand. Like it was like number one, and he was like
Right
here, number two. And I even vocalized that because he'd want to come in and share the same, share the same space. And it's like, no, bro, this is my space. You have your space. And he couldn't look at his space and go, you know what? This is my space, and I'm fucking proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
And without me, that wouldn't work. And instead he kept taking it as, I'm just not number one. And I think this is great conversation for people listening that are in partnerships. And at this point, I don't even think it's about number one or two. I think Danny just understands that the infrastructure was here, and arguably, we're equal at this point. It's not even, but if somebody has to lead, you've got to be a good Indian, and you got to be both. And there's times where Danny's made decisions where I'm like, I'm going to be an Indian. And actually, there's lots of times that are that way. Danny's in charge of all the social media. He's in charge of the graphics. He's in charge of, modernizing this whole flipping business. Now imagine if my ego got in the way and I was like, well, what if that takes some credit away from me? And then I, squash it. I could tell you right now, Galindo Group Real Estate wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah.
100%. The greatest thing that Casey ever gave me was by leaving was having Danny step up, because Galindo Group Real Estate would have just been an investment business. That's all it would have been. Mm-hmm. It just would have been a brokerage that flips homes.
Yeah.
But Danny brought to the table what he brought was the ability for me to take my visions and him communicate it to the world.
Create a
Does that
brand.
make sense?
Create a brand. Something to share.
He could create it.
Yeah.
It was this that thought it. And then that's what I think we have that's special. I can go, Danny, this is my vision. And he's like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, it's even cooler than I thought.
Yeah.
And then now we could go communicate with the world. So that was the greatest gift that I got. But I'm always just curious of people's partnerships and dynamics, and
it's funny, people, like girls that we've known in high school. I was at, I think, one of Talia's parties, and they were like, "What's up with Josh? He's so cocky on social media," and they just keep going on. I'm like, he just says words. I film it. I post it.
I run all this.
You built that.
I build it.
You're the ego behind it all.
I'm like, yeah, like you're pretty much talking shit about me, but it's like, if I had any ego, like I'm putting all this energy to make Josh this big. It's like, no, I want Josh to be big.
Yeah.
I want to put my energy and effort into it and all my expertise, because the bigger he gets, the bigger I get.
Right.
You see that?
For sure.
And that's why I'm always talking about attaching my team to production. Like I had a team of 11 was the real number. And they were all attached to production too, but I didn't like managing that many people. I'd rather consolidate all of the money and have 5 people and have all of them absolutely crush it with, the ability to improve their lives. Like I don't want people that have resentment going to work, that don't like work, that don't own their workspace. So I'm like, dude, when I'm crushing it, you're crushing it. Now here's the flip side. When I'm not crushing it, I don't have any stress because there ain't no money going out. It's not like that's the people forget about that part. Like I don't want to share the profit. Well, what if things get slow and now all of a sudden you have to keep writing that check for $7,000 a month that you're paying?
Now you're bound to a salary versus a production.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. We do that a lot with our team as well. We
Yeah.
only have one person, which is our office admin, on a salary. Everyone else is production based.
They eat what they kill.
Yep.
Yep. And it makes them hungrier, more motivated. Yeah.
Construction managers, you're paid based off profits per deal, and the more we make,
Oh, managers. Yeah.
not on an equity percentage, but you get paid out of, when we sell a house, that's when you get paid.
Yeah.
On the construction management side. And, if they do a great job, obviously we're going to reward you more. We're going to bonus you. We're going to make sure everyone's happy on those jobs. But if those jobs go over timeline and we're over budget and problems arise, it affects all of us,
Yeah.
including them.
Yeah.
Totally.